They know who they are. We will take some time to reflect on and process the outcome and find a path forward that works for the Royals and our fans. Thank you.
First and foremost, we've been talking a lot about the democratic process. We respect the process. We respect the decision of the Jackson County voters today. We're disappointed. We feel we put forth the best offer for Jackson County. We're ready to extend the long-standing partnership with the teams that enjoyed with this county. This is important. We want to thank everyone that worked tirelessly on our behalf. We truly appreciate all the effort, all the time, and all the work that you all put in. We will do and will look to do what is in the best interest of our fans and our organization as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHP. It's Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024. Stephen St. John and Nate Bukaty with Jake Gutierrez. Thank you so much for joining us. 6:30, we'll be joined by Todd Leabo to talk about the vote. 7 o'clock, Mike Boddicker will be in studio with his son Corey, talking baseball and talking about the upcoming bourbon raffle for the Boddicker Foundation to benefit Children's Mercy Hospital. Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com will be with us at 8 o'clock. Talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire re-signing with the Kansas City Chiefs and whether or not J.K. Dobbins could do that in the future. Dennis Dodd, CBSSports.com. At the Final Four, talk some college basketball. Haven't talked to Dennis in a while. Jake clearly pissed him off, but brought him back into the fold, so thank you. 9:05, we'll talk about something near and dear to my heart. Kansas City Golden Gloves. I'm an alum, as I fought in the Golden Gloves years and years ago. Years and a few more years ago. Back when they were held at Municipal Auditorium. Don't ring a bell like that. I'll crack Nate right in the... Hey. Give me the twitches there, yeah. He'll be playing that all day long now.
If you wanted to ensure that he would keep playing the bell.
I'm not slow. I just got to relax your brain. Chris Walden will be with us, and one of the fighters, Marco Romero, is the Kansas City Golden Gloves are right around the corner. So if you want to go see that April 4th, 5th, and 6th at Memorial Hall, I encourage you to do that. Great action. Incredible action. Really good young fighters in Kansas City. And the Kansas City Golden Gloves, a tremendous organization that benefited many, a young person and a young fighter, including yours truly. So, and when I was exchanging messages with Chris about what fighter to bring in, I told him Nate said it doesn't matter because he could take any of them.
Right.
And so we'll relay that to Marco and see what he has to say about that. Should be interesting at 9:05. And then Scott Sharp, Royals assistant GM, will join us at 9:30 to talk about all this damn starting pitching the Royals have on their hands. Unfortunately, we can't. We could, But there are other things that will prevent us from talking about what happened last night as much as we'd like to. But I'm going to mention it anyway, right off the bat. Alec Marsh, who won the 5th starting spot in spring, and that is one of the times that spring performance is useful, when you've got an open spot in the rotation and you tell a kid, now go win it. Go out and win this thing. And I don't think, I'm not going to sit here and pile on Jordan Lyles for the rest of the year, but I don't think anyone would have been like overjoyed and super excited to have Lyles win that 5th starting spot. If he won it, he won it. Okay, that's fine. But somebody, a young pitcher with a high upside and tremendous stuff like Alec Marsh, that's very exciting to have him as a 5th starter. In the past, with the Royals and their lack of depth in the rotation, this kid would have to find his way as the number 2 or number 3 starter. He'd be overmatched. There'd be too much pressure on him, this, that, and everything else. Not the case this year with Cole Reagans and Brady Singer and Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha ahead of him. He could fit nicely in that 5th starting spot, and boy, did he last night against a good Baltimore Orioles lineup. 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, only 76 pitches to get through 7 innings. Yes, please. Thank you, sir. May I have another? That's not always going to be that good, but my goodness, he showed you exactly what he's capable of. And again, that's on the road. That's against a quality offense, against a team that is expected to contend for a playoff spot that was in the playoffs last year. There's just simply, you couldn't ask for anything else from Alec Marsh. And overall, you couldn't ask for anything else from the starting rotation the first time through. Very exciting when you just look at this team on paper and you ask yourself, okay, where do they take the biggest jump? Where do they improve the most? Not even close. The only answer is the starting rotation. We've talked about the statistic from last year. 32 different guys got a start for this baseball team last year. So they acquired Cole Reagans halfway through the season. That's a spot nailed down. Brady Singer, I've told you, I think he's going to have a terrific year. All arrows point to him having a good year. I've told you that I believe having Reagans as the ace, whether or not he has the best numbers, but that's what we look at him as the number 1, and having 2 veterans to come in like Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo to take pressure off him. Now that the band has been broken up and it's no longer this draft class, you don't talk about him anymore because it doesn't exist anymore. Okay, because Jackson Kowar is gone. And just, and once that happens, now we can just move past that. And everyone's on their own. Kowar's out of town. Lynch is starting at AAA. Booba just working his way back from injury. It didn't turn out the way they wanted it to, but Brady Singer's here, and he can just be Brady Singer. And I think we saw that in the first start. And he had excellent run support, of course, but I have high expectations for him. We've seen Lugo and Wacha be very successful as of last year. And it's, many times I've seen the Royals go out and get a pitcher. Well, he was really good 2 years ago, and if he could just get back to that, they were really good last year. There's nothing to get back to. Just keep doing what you were doing last year. And so you look at that and think, oh, well hell, there's no debate. There's no argument. That's your front 4, and it's good. And you don't feel bad looking at the schedule any day and seeing one of those guys as the starting pitcher, right? Cole Reagans, you're excited. You might see something great. Brady Singer, okay. Wacha, Lugo, same thing. How many times did you take a look at the starting pitching matchup last year? Like, oh. Nope. And Jake said, I'd take the over in this one. Because honestly, it's like you look at it like, that's not good. That matchup doesn't look good on paper.
Who is that guy?
But honestly, now you look at it with any of those front 4 starting pitchers, like,
thank you, sir. May I have another?
Right. Royals got a shot to win today. I can reasonably expect to see a good pitching performance today. And it's not so much that They got, 3 aces. They have 4 solid major league starting pitchers that would be in almost anyone's rotation. How many times have you seen a starting pitcher for the Royals? He wouldn't be in anyone else's rotation. These guys would be in most anyone else's rotation. And so then you take the upside. Instead of just giving the 5th spot to Jordan Lyles because of the amount of money he's making and ignoring what he did last year and ignoring what he's doing in the spring, you do what you're supposed to do if you're a young team battling to try to find your way into contention, and give it to the guy that won it. Give it to the guy with upside. Give it to the guy that you could dream about, Alec Marsh. Will it work out for the whole season? I don't know, but it sure looked good last night. And so now that's just, to me, that's house money. That's just the gravy on top. You got your front 4. Let him pan out and turn out to be a good quality 5th starter. Now you're talking. Depth. No holes in the rotation. I know baseball, it's early, but hey, what else do you want him to do besides what he did in the spring and what he did last night? And again, consider the competition. On the road against a quality opponent in Baltimore. Loved it. So there, and again, I've been banging the drum for this guy. I loved him last year. I was, I think, one of the few when people were unwilling to, who were building blocks. And I heard people on this station, refusing to include Michael Garcia. Well, that's fine. I did include him. I will include him. I have included him. And I've told you that the Royals consider him an untradeable building block on this team, along with Cole Reagans and Vinny Pasquantino and Bobby Witt Jr. That's how they view him. And I view him as a guy that's going to have a breakout year this year. Every possible indicator you could look at points to him having a breakout year. And so far, so good. Last night, 2 for 4 with 3 ribbies. With a double and a triple. He don't mess around with singles. He likes extra base hits. And so, again, it's early, but early returns on Michael Garcia have to have you very happy about him being the third baseman of now and the third baseman of the future. Okay, that's Royals. We've addressed that. Now the vote. The Noes have it. The Noes win by a nose, and it wasn't by a nose. It was an ass whipping. That's the truth. Even people that thought, well, the Noes might win, but it'll be close. It was not close. It was not close. It was a thumping. Why? Everyone's going to have their opinions now, right? We'll talk to Todd Leabo about that coming up at 6:30. Well, my opinion, I'll give you a couple of ideas, a couple of reasons. Number one, this doesn't mean that Jackson County doesn't want the Royals and doesn't want the Chiefs. This means that Jackson County doesn't want the plan that was put in front of them. And more importantly, doesn't trust and or understand the plan that was put in front of them. I mean, how could you? The Royals and the Chiefs, honestly, have nobody but to blame but themselves. Okay? The Royals took too long and played around and jacked around and took too long picking a site. Right? How long did we wait on that?
I mean, past several of their own imposed deadlines, if I remember correctly.
The answer is too long. Well, do we all agree there?
Yeah.
It took too long. All right? Then, when they picked a site, they didn't stick with it. And then they moved it. And then they adjusted it. Does that seem like an entity that's dead set on this? We have done all the research possible, and this is the right answer. This is what we want moving forward. Like, well, we'll take this, but then we're going to go over here. We'll figure it out as we go along. They underestimated the pushback they would get by switching the site to the Crossroads from the East Village. They made a mistake. If they'd have left the site alone in East Village, I think it passes. This is one of my favorite terms. People like to use it. They effed around and found out. Like, well, now we're going to go over here. There'll be no resistance here. Well, people in the Crossroads and the people of Jackson County, a good group of them, didn't like it. And that's their right, and voted against it. And I think if they would have stuck with the original site that they took so long to pick, it'd have passed. The Chiefs are not innocent in this deal. Their presentation, their renderings were laughable. Everyone I talked to had the same reaction. That was it? What was that? Where's the upgrades? There's an access road for VIP guests. There's some end zone suites, upgrade to the video board. They copied the football field and the parking lot from AT&T Stadium. Like, what was this? Does anyone disagree here?
No.
When you saw the Arrowhead, like, that's what they're spending the money on?
I think I told you my reaction was, what are they going to do with the other $750 million?
But it was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay. And Mark Donovan's what was his quote? They did the best they could, or that was
put forth the best plan for Jackson County and the Chiefs.
That was the best plan? If that was the best plan, let me see the worst one. Let me see the ones that was better than. Honestly, were you overwhelmed or excited about anything you saw there? It's a small part of it, but I'm telling you, it's a part of it.
Sure.
Sorry, come up with something better than that. That's how you're going to spend the taxpayer money?
Incredibly underwhelming.
Wow me.
I just couldn't believe that was going to cost $800 million.
Okay. All right.
I mean, name something that you were excited about that was on there.
Nothing.
That walkway.
No, I mean,
Not really. No,
nothing.
I'm just, but so I think that's part of it. And I've said this, and I didn't have it outwardly, but we talked back of the threats. The voters didn't respond well to the threats. I think it was a misstep. And it is a sign somewhat of desperation, and it's a sign of the fact that they had fear that this wasn't going to pass. How many emails, how many press releases did we get? How many impromptu press conferences? How many last-minute agreements? Everything seemed last minute. Everything seemed thrown together. And it got to the point where, you know, we're going to keep our options open. You better do this or else. Like, oh, okay, or else.
It felt incredibly sloppy.
People don't respond. The Jackson County voters didn't respond well to those threats. I had more than a few people tell me, well, I'm voting no now. Didn't like it. A condescending tone towards the voters. I'm giving you reasons that I've heard from multiple people and just my opinion on different things that went wrong. Okay? It felt like, and this resonates with me, it felt like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this. You're a college student and you take a class and you kind of, you know when the final is and you got to pass the final to pass the class, but you're like, I'm not going to class this week. I'll go next week. I'll save it to the last couple of weeks. And then you cram at the last minute, and then you panic, and then oh my God, I might not pass this. And then guess what? Then you don't pass.
Sounds like every class I took.
Or you have a term paper due, a big term paper due in the morning, and then you have a month to write it, and then you have 3 weeks to write it, and then you have 2 weeks to write it, and then it's 1 in the morning, and it's due at 9 a.m. And you just slap ass it together, and you get the grade that you deserve. They've known about this. They dragged their feet initially picking the site. It looked sloppy. It wasn't organized. There was and let's just be honest here. Another word that was a part of all this, arrogance. Arrogance. We can put whatever we want on this plate, and Jackson County goes, ooh, this is good. Oh, yeah. Chiefs are world champs. Look how they presented it. Support your world champion, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Royals. You're going to ride that championship wave. And it looks like whoever put those renderings, those plans together for Arrowhead, did it at 1 in the morning the night before the final exam. Did it not?
Yeah.
I still can't believe that. It feels like the arrogance, like, well, just put something together. Do it a walkway, a football field. Saw that at AT&T. Sweets. They'll say yes. I'm Mahomes, Kelsey, Taylor Swift. They'll say yes.
We'll figure out what we do with the money after.
Right.
Well, and let's be honest. If it was just the Chiefs, it might have passed. Might have.
Maybe, yeah.
It might have. But it wasn't. I mean,
And again, I don't... the message that you take away from this is it's not that Jackson County doesn't want downtown baseball. It's not that Jackson County doesn't want the Chiefs. But you can't half-ass it.
No, you got to have a plan.
You got to respect the fans. You got to respect the voters.
You gotta know it. You at least look like you know what you're doing.
Show them a consistent plan that you're not changing. Remember we were talking about these changes at the last minute, like
Overstreet.
After people had already
Voted.
voted early. Like, we're a little change here, a little sprinkle, a little stardust there.
Big little change, by the way. Yeah, we keep a street open and change the dimensions of the ballpark.
Now, and maybe 10 years from now, you'll all be able to look back and say, oh, you big dummy. I don't have any fear of the Royals or the Chiefs leaving the Kansas City area.
The metro area.
Notice I didn't say Jackson County. There is a pathway. There is a path to get this done for the Chiefs and for the Royals in Jackson County. That's still possible, okay? But there is now also a path that leads to Johnson County, that leads to Wyandotte County, and that leads to Clay County. You left the door open. You didn't lock the barn. Jackson County had a chance with the vote to shut it down and lock everyone out. Didn't do it. Jackson County made their voices heard and said, we don't like this plan. This isn't what we want. Come back with something better. It might work out. And we might still have downtown baseball stadium for the Royals, and a renovated Arrowhead in the Chune Sports Complex. But the door has been left open. You don't think Johnson County officials and Wyandotte County officials and Clay County officials last night were like, ho. Let's go. There was no chance If that passes last night, I don't know how big the chance is, but there's a chance. The door has been left open. So no, I don't think it's going to be I saw so many ridiculous people just melted down last night. No, I don't think we're looking at the Nashville Royals or anything like
The
that.
St. Louis Chiefs.
Right, St. Louis. Yeah, they know how to hold on to an NFL team. It's going to be the Kansas City Royals. It's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. They may very well stay in Jackson County, but they may not. And guess what? If you're Wyandotte County, if you're Johnson County, if you're Clay County, go for it. Go get it. Swing for the fences now. All right? If you're Clay County, go for the Royals. If you can't get them, how about Chiefs headquarters and a brand new Chiefs training facility? That seems to be needed. With chairs, with real backs, and big areas to get treatment. What are you laughing at? Those would be two welcome prospects.
No, yeah, I know. I know.
Fresh carpet, all kinds of stuff.
Whose chair is that? Who bought that goddamn chair? That's not my chair. Not my chair, not my problem. That's what I say.
Oh, St. John, that'll never work.
No
Two different
way.
locations. Oh, I don't know. You ever been to Dallas? You ever been to Frisco? That works out pretty well.
It's doing all right.
You could have the Chiefs headquarters and training facility in Clay County and Arrowhead someplace else.
Yes.
I'm not telling you that's going to happen, but guess what?
It's on the table.
Why not? Go for it.
There are a lot of NFL teams that do that. There are
Okay.
several.
Go get it.
Several.
Go get it.
Look, if that passed last night, there was 0% chance these happened. Guess
Nobody's going nowhere.
what? Now
But-
there's a chance.
But I'm just, please understand the difference. When I tell you that the stadiums now could move, I'm not telling you they're moving out of the Kansas City metropolitan area. They can move from Jackson County. That's on the table now. It's on the table for them to stay, but Kansas is on the table. Clay County is on the table. It's going to be wild. They'll be gunning for the Royals and the Chiefs. All right, let's see what happens. Let's see if they can get their blank together and put an on-time proposal together that doesn't change 3 times in the last minute. All right, let's see if they can put together a Chiefs proposal that doesn't look like was done on MS Paint. You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it was done on The Sims. Mark Donovan, at the end of that clip, you heard what he said, right? We're going to do what's best for our fans and the organization and the team. He didn't say we're going to do what's best for Jackson County, what's best for the county, or anything. He said what's best for the fans and what's best for the team. Might be in Jackson County, might not. So that's what's open now. They're not leaving the Kansas City area. It's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be the Kansas City Royals. Anyone that says you're going to another town, they're just freaking out. Chill. But if it's important to you for them to be in Jackson County, I can't guarantee that. Nobody can. Do you disagree with anything I said?
No. Damn it, I want to.
No.
Well said.
Yeah, I'm on board.
And put your seatbelt on, because now it's going to get wild.
And like you said, it's not just the counties that'll get involved. I mean, will the state of Kansas in general get involved? Will Laura Kelly say, hey, let's put something together from a state perspective?
Laura Kelly's a baller.
Well-
I don't know if she's ever been described as that,
Oh, yeah.
but she's a baller.
I think all the time.
You know?
And then also, does that bring the state of Missouri more into the fold? Because do they want to lose 2 NFL teams? I don't know. Does that get, you know what I mean?
I don't think they do.
Yeah, probably not, Nate.
If you're asking the question, I'm going to say I don't think
Well,
they do.
I
I
It's an assumption
can't
on your
speak
part.
for them.
I don't think anyone's like, oh, we can pull it off.
Yeah.
Maybe we can lose 2 of them.
Let's take a quick break so we can get Todd Leabo on here. Hopefully he's been listening, and he could disagree with anything I said, but that's how I feel. We'll take a break. Back after this on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Welcome back to the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Let's check in with the man that has provided excellent coverage leading up to the vote, and now he will speak after the vote. Todd Leabo. Todd, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, boys.
Did you listen to anything that I said?
I listened to everything that you said.
Do you agree or disagree with anything that I said?
I absolutely agree. This plan. I mean, you can't be just last Friday going, oh yeah, we're going to keep Oak Street open. I mean, they were just like saying, yeah, we'll do whatever. They were basically saying yes to anything to close the deal. And many votes were already cast before then, thousands probably. But I think here's the gist of what happened in Jackson County, in my opinion. Yes, all of this stuff was rushed, but it wasn't rushed in the way that many people think it was rushed. This was a long, long process that there were roadblocks very early on, according to the Royals, and they didn't really air all the dirty laundry, but they were getting roadblocked at the county level with Frank White for a long time. And they went around the county executive and went to the legislators. And the legislators passed the deal. I mean, this has been going for a long time. But eventually, you have to get it on the ballot. As you recall, last July, they kept talking about picking a site and putting it on the ballot in November. How rushed would this have been in November? You know, it's just so it was definitely rushed. But I think the general thing that happened in Jackson County was you had a whole bunch of very active people in the KC tenants and the stand-up KC people who were in the more of the main corridor of Jackson County, Kansas City area, they know how to get the vote out. They flipped city council races last time around, all right? They do that. And then I think there was a bunch of people in eastern Jackson County who just like to drive to the K. They don't want to go downtown. You know, you live in Independence, Blue Springs, Grain Valley, where you just get on I-70 and you just roll into the K and you're not driving all the way downtown and doing that. They're like, nah, we don't want to go all the way down there. Sure, we'll go downtown a couple of times to go to something at T-Mobile or every once in a while there's some event, but they don't want to go down there all the time. They want to just go to Kauffman Stadium. And, by the way, I don't know if you guys remember this. It didn't affect you very much. There were a lot of people whose Jackson County property taxes went up way more than 3/8 of a cent.
Oh, it affected me enough because it affected my son.
There you go.
So yes, it did, sir.
Conversations with your son. Yes. I was talking to him about here's how this works. So there was a lot of things at play here, and I think people were just like, we're not doing this. There was more than one. It wasn't a united front against the Royals and Chiefs. It was several people who probably don't have many things in common, who voted no for different reasons. And I don't know what's going to happen now. We'll see. I do agree. I don't think either team is like leaving Kansas City metro area. I don't think that's the case. I think, in fact, what will probably happen is the Royals. Well, we know this. And John Sherman says they will not be playing at Kauffman Stadium in 2031. So they're going to look somewhere to play somewhere. I don't think John Sherman wants to take the Royals out of Kansas City. I don't think that's the case at all. He's got a very Kansas City-centric ownership group, and they want to be around here. And he wanted to do something that was cool for Kansas City and be downtown. But they just ran into roadblocks here and there and everywhere. And I'll say this, too. John Sherman is a very smart guy who made lots of money. And you know how these guys made their money? They made it in a propane company. You know how many times there was a press conference for a propane company, and they had to get out there in public and understand how to message something and deal with that? None, right? I don't think they had any idea how difficult this was going to be in Kansas City when they first started this like 3 years ago in dealing with governments and all this on these fronts. I don't think they had a clue. And they got a very difficult, hard lesson in Kansas City and Jackson County politics. Very difficult. Embarrassing lesson for them, really, because how much money have they spent? You know, the populace ain't drawn up plans for nothing. How many times have they switched them? How much the mailers and the radio ads and the TV ads and the whatever they would call them, town halls that they did, you know, go out and do all these things. All that stuff costs money. They hired PR firms. They did all these things. They did all that stuff. And right now they did it for what? Nothing. And it wasn't close.
Well,
This was not a ninth inning loss. This was a beatdown.
That was the eye opener, and also,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you this too. I had somebody tell me that is involved in this whole process closely. Last night, after the vote was done, we were talking about different options and what could happen next, and he did reiterate to me several times that John Sherman is just dead set and fixated on a downtown stadium.
Yeah, he wants to do something cool. I mean, I honestly think, listen, he wants to make money and all that stuff. But I don't think this is a guy who is money hungry like you think of a billionaire. You know, I mean, I don't think he's that guy. But he really wants to do something cool for Kansas City, Missouri. He wants to have a downtown stadium. He thinks that's cool.
Shouldn't he be livid with the people that he put in charge of this?
All right, probably. I mean, who knows what's happening behind closed. They didn't make comments last night, other than the comments they did. They didn't answer questions because those are questions that would be asked. Well, you know, who jacked this up? What happened? But I honestly think, guys, dude, dealing with the government, especially in our city, where there's layers of it, is a tough thing. And I would think it was a big time eye opener for these folks in particular. I really think it was, because I don't think they'd ever dealt with anything like this before. You know, these are public things. You know, if you got a company and you're going to, you know, build some little facility somewhere and whatever, maybe you got to get something zoned. Yeah, there's not a press conference about that. When you're the Royals and you want to move something that's been there for 50 years, and, you know, to Frank White's credit, I guess, whatever, there still is, at this point, 6 or 7 baseball seasons left on this. They think it's a little early to start talking about this. The Royals don't think it's too early. They think this is the time you start doing it, because these things take time, you know. So I think they had. I don't think they knew what they were getting into. I don't think they. I just honestly don't think they did.
They need to have a better plan. They need to deliver the message in a better way. And in my opinion, they need to get different people in front of the microphone and in front of the cameras.
Well, you know, the plan they initially had, I think that everyone thought all along they wanted to go to the East Village, because there's lots of buildings there that aren't like the Crossroads. It's not a little neighborhood of artists or whatever. And they wanted to do that. But then I think the city came to and said, listen, man, that's no good for P&L. P&L's already struggling. I mean, the city of Kansas City has a bad deal with the company that developed the P&L, and where the city has to pay for, you know, they're basically subsidizing that thing. And they're like, God, you're killing us. We can't have 2 entertainment districts. So what'd they do? They said, yes, okay, fine, let's go to Crossroads. There's a big empty building where they used to print papers in it. We'll get this done, and we'll connect it to the P&L, and it'll all be good. And they just kept trying to say yes, yes, yes. You know what I mean? And it's, you know, you keep doing that, and eventually you end up looking disorganized, because they were just trying to say yes to everybody. And you know, at the very beginning of this thing, John Sherman wants this to be in downtown, right? That's what he wants. So he never showed any leg to Kansas, you know. Oh. But I think those things. I mean, maybe at this point you'll be like, listen, the K is not for us, and we need it. Maybe now they'll say, all right, we got to get to Johnson County or somewhere else where we can actually do what they wanted to do in the East Village to start with, and that's build a true entertainment district that's theirs, all theirs. You know what I mean? So maybe that's where it'll go. I don't know.
Don't you think also there's an element of arrogance? At one point they thought, well, whatever we put on the plate, Jackson County will eat it, and we'll get it
probably
passed.
At the beginning.
Right, but then by the time they realized that wasn't the case, it was too late.
Yeah, probably, and that's when you start switching and doing this. And listen, I'm telling you guys, I have been to multiple press conferences with pictures of stadiums, and they're not all in the same place. And even the one that I went to where they had all the pictures, I mean, it was very cool. I mean, if this thing did end up happening, or maybe still could, I mean, who's to say they don't just go buy all that crap themselves and build a stadium right there, and there's no vote? They could do that, and that would make a lot of people happy. You're not getting any money from a sales tax to do that. But you know, I went to that press conference, and I still, one of the most amazing things that I've heard of this whole thing was like, sure, they said they wanted to keep Oak Street open, we'll do that. Somehow, driving basically through the very edge of where a stadium footprint would be, you know, we'll find a way to keep it open. It's just like, anything to get a yes vote, and it looked desperate for sure, and it failed. I can't believe it failed by as much as it did. That's resounding in one of these kind of elections.
So, do we think the state of Kansas will actually come together, like come with like people are saying Laura Kelly's waiting right now,
Hey, listen, nobody wants to give anyone $1 billion. That's not going to go well. They put something like that on a ballot. By the way, this was the messaging was rough. I think the people who were against it took the messaging over, and they started having this $2 billion number, and that's really not what this thing was going to cost the taxpayers in real dollars on like what it comes out of your sales tax or whatever. But they won that battle by saying this is of the overall project of this sales tax was a small piece of the overall project. Frighteningly small when you start talking about a thing that was going to cost $2 billion and they were going to put $1 billion on themselves. So if you put this on the thing in Johnson County and they say, where are you going to put this? Are you going to vote for a sales tax in Johnson County? I'm not sure that's the way to go about it either. They've got other mechanisms in Kansas, maybe these star bonds and stuff like that. I don't know. But is Laura Kelly waiting in the wings for the Royals? I don't know.
Where was Clark Hunt yesterday?
He wasn't at this press conference. I know he was somewhere the day before. And there wasn't. When I say press conference, I don't mean press conference.
He wasn't at the gathering last night.
The gathering is what they call it.
They were hoping it was going to be a celebration, but it didn't end up being that.
No, it wasn't. Yeah.
But he wasn't at that?
No.
I wasn't there, so I didn't see.
News reported that he wasn't there.
Yeah. I don't know.
I was watching several news stations, and they said he wasn't there.
He was at the Get Out the Vote rally. He was around. But hey, listen, here's the deal. He doesn't live here. I mean, we've been talking about.
There's a lot of people who are involved in this vote that don't live here. Seems like.
Yeah, but the owner of the Chiefs, they have 4 people who own the Chiefs. One of them lives in Kansas City, and that's Lamar Hunt Jr., and the 3 others live in Dallas.
But do you agree? Because I just want to wrap this up because I think this is important to get this message across. Because I know that of course, people are going to freak out. Nashville Royals, now they're going to leave Kansas City. There is a path for the Chiefs to stay in Jackson County. There's a path for the Royals to stay in Jackson County. But after last night, there's also a path for them to end up in Johnson County, Wyandotte County, or Clay County.
Oh, anything is.
But they're not leaving the Kansas City metropolitan area.
I don't think so. But
no, neither do I.
If they passed last night, then they couldn't because they had signed the leases. But they could. Anything is possible now. But I do not think the Chiefs are leaving Kansas City area, and I do not think the Royals are. I think the chances are, if you ask me which one had a better chance to leave, it would be the Royals. That would be a better chance to leave. But I still think that's so slight, it's not even really something to worry about at this point. But no one's going anywhere tomorrow or the next day. They still do have leases that go through the 2030 season. And those leases are very detrimental if they leave Jackson County. Like they're written in there that any money you get from like ticket sales and all this stuff comes to Jackson County. And that's how they wrote those. That's the poison pills that were in those. So and that doesn't matter if that's Clay County, Johnson County, or some county in Tennessee. It would be very costly for them to leave the county before 2031 without a new lease that they make that thing right somehow. But we'll have to see. These teams both said that they're going to take some time to figure out what's going on. At some point we'll hear something from them. Frank White is happy right now because he said this is too quick. They need a better plan.
He equated this to winning the World Series last night, by the way.
Well, it's there won't be a parade about this.
Well, that's what I'm just telling you what he said.
They won't raise a flag up.
Can I ask you one more quick question?
Yes.
I had someone tell me last night that he thinks and he's heard that the Royals and the Chiefs are going to both go silent on this for about a year.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Does that sound ridiculous, or so you think that sounds reasonable?
Well, I mean, they could just sit there and just play on their lease and say, all right, we tried.
But for a year, and then
let people get the taste of this out of their mouth for a year before they come back at it.
Right.
That's not a bad idea, probably. Probably not a bad idea.
Someone told me that last night, and so we'll see if that turns out to be true.
Yeah, and we could ask. I would still, they've been asking about it. This, people. This feels like it's only been the last 8-9 months. This has been going on behind the scenes with the Royals in the county for years, a long time. And I, like I said before, I'll reiterate this. I think they had no idea how hard this was going to be. The Royals.
That seems pretty evident.
Yeah, no idea. They found out the hard way.
And also, hey, Chiefs, do a better job of putting something together to show us. I know that that's not the biggest reason, but we all had the same reaction, right? When we saw the plans, when we saw the renderings, like, what's that?
Yeah, I mean,
What is that?
You're just adding things to a place that's already there. It's never going to look as wowing as the other stuff.
Todd,
but that's the thing; these guys are tied together.
Right.
For now,
I think it would be
for now.
For now, I mean, they're going to be untied after this in some way. We'll see what happens. Maybe people will be sorry, like the people in eastern Jackson County who's like, I don't want to drive all the way downtown. Maybe they'll be really sorry if this thing is over by Sporting Park, and they'll be like, well, downtown sounds pretty good, but better watch what you wish for.
Todd, thank you for your efforts.
All right, boys. I'll see you in a while.
Come on in here.
I don't know. I got things to do.
When you coming in here?
I got a lot of stuff to do today. I'll be in there sometime later.
We miss you. That's
All
Todd
right.
Leabo. We'll be right back after this on WHV. Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here for Tickets for Less. When you need tickets to your next event, whether it's a big concert or a sporting event, Tickets for Less has you covered with the best selection of tickets without the service fees. Ticketsforless.com, you shop transparent, upfront prices on all your favorite events, including the Royal Sporting KC, the KC Current. You want to go to that new stadium? And so much more. Plus, score an exclusive discount on your next order when you use promo code 810 at ticketsforless.com or the free Tickets for Less app.